Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Friday's World session. We are October 4th, 2024. So the first thing is please take a nice deep breath. Feel as I was tuning into today's work, I was feeling some congestion coming up through the five senses. So today we're going to work with filters on the five senses that run your life. So what you see and what you attract to yourself, it is, you know, one of the ways. There's many permutations of this, of what you attract to you, what kind of relationships you have, what kind of job you have, what kind of work you do, um, what you see, like whether you see a glass half full or half to empty. There's so many different permutations of that. I can't get into specifics because this is a general body talk session for the whole. So for the whole, I tune into the world. So you can feel for yourself or think about your life or be in your own life and in your own body for these sessions, obviously in your own body for the sessions, to feel how it resonates or relates to you. And if it doesn't, don't worry about it. Nothing will happen. It just doesn't relate to you. But we want to bring attention. I want to bring some attention. I feel very heavy in the mind, like my mind is running the show. And that's not where the wisdom is found. The wisdom is found within your body, right? We want a strong intellect. We want a good thinking mechanism, but for answers and choices, and you're not going to find those things in the mind. It's just reruns of the same thing. So mind and intellect are two totally different things. So we're going to start with a differentiation between mind and intellect. And it seems like it's all very, it's intertwined. So mind and intellect are not the same thing. You have a strong intellect. You're able to reason. You're able to think, which is not the same thing as following thoughts or following your assumptions. We need to clear that up first. So that's going to run on the background. But what I'm going to focus on today is the five senses and how those filters, the filters on your senses actually is the space from which you live your life. Right? So take a deep breath. So if you have fear within the skin, trapped within the skin, the sense of touch, then how you interact with the world, because the skin is the first thing that interacts. This is how you meet the world, is through your skin, through the sense of touch. If there's fear trapped in that sense of touch, then your experiences are going to be everything is scary. Life is scary. Life is inherently dangerous. Right. So there's the first, we're going to dump that to individuation. We're going to anchor that to the heart to start to dump that fear, which is pathological. It's not a healthy fear. Healthy fear keeps you safe. It keeps you alive, right? Say there's a truck coming at you and you're crossing the street. Fear goes danger, and anger boots up and moves you out of danger. That fear will stop you from jumping off of a bridge. That will to live, right? That fear will stop you. If you're being chased by a bear, you'll find ways to get away from the bear, whatever it is, right? So that's healthy fear. Just a very basic, just to give you some context. Right? Unhealthy fear is all life is dangerous and I'm always in danger. So that turns into paranoia, for example. That's what we're going to start working with today. Dumping that pathological fear out of the skin so that you can start to meet the world differently. There's a first release there. So you can just feel your skin. And it feels like all tense. It almost feels like an armoring. It's not soft. and flexible. When I feel that, I feel like I'm wearing armor plates, like I feel like an armadillo. And it feels like it's really like I'm wearing a big tight hat on my head, on my brain. It feels like it's squishing in on the sides of my temples. So we're going to start to drain that pathological fear off of the skin, off of that sense of touch, so that you can actually begin to feel your life. And as it is, not through what you think it is, not through the involvement. So, whether that is, I need to change what is happening, any kind of form of manipulation. So, either manipulating yourself, others, or your life. You need to dump that pathological fear that tends for as a tendency of paranoia. Right? Take a deep breath. I'm anchoring this to individuation. Like it feels just streams of it dump. You feel where your skin is contracted. Maybe it has some dry patches. I'm starting to get itchy on my head, very itchy on my scalp. There's no forcing it. It will shift as it shifts. And add to your maximum health potential. So maybe some people's health potential, the body mind's able to shift 80%. Maybe some of you will be able to shift 1% or 2%. And that's okay. Take a deep breath. That just helps. It soothes. That's okay. That's okay. Like there's such a forcing here. I feel such a, like a forceful energy, like a pushiness, like there you go. There's another shift. So for those who are joining me, those burps are energy moving. It's some rebellious chi coming up. And I feel some contraction around the diaphragm doing this and some habits coming in here. Well, I'm used to being like this. What an abusive statement towards yourself. I'm just used to it. This is the way I've always done it. And there's a fear of change coming in. Well, if I'm not overthinking, if I'm not paranoid, in the sense of, oh, well, paranoia keeps me safe. I have to think about all of the possible things that can go wrong. And then I can control and have the lay of the land. And it's a habit. So we have to break down some mind crystals of this is the way that I am. Well, no. What might happen? What I don't really believe that. Maybe this is the way that you've been until now. Life changes, seasons change, and so do you. Now we got to start to dump that habitual pattern. If there's a mind crystal right sitting at the bottom of the diaphragm that's sticky, if this is just the way that I'm used to doing things. How terrible. Imagine the way that you're used to doing things is stabbing yourself in the eye with a pen every morning. I know that seems like a crazy example, but some people out there who, well, my habit is to hurt myself. And so that could be in any way, right? That's a very extreme example. But you can think about the ways that you hurt yourself. Maybe it be through food or through drink or um, going against yourself. So let's say getting into a relationship with someone that you know in your gut that it's a no, but you force yourself to say yes as the mind overrules. And oh, well, this is what I'm used to. There's so many permutations here. So I'm going to link that to your prefrontal cortex so we can start to discern what needs to, which line of how do you, in which way do I hurt myself? In which way is that habit running my life? And we'll start to dump this out. We're going to break it up. I could see it turning into little ice crystals and shattering that belief system, that mind crystal out of that lower portion of the diaphragm in the front, that front sitting diaphragm. All right, I'm going to tap this in. There's a shift there. Next, we're going to go to the sense of sight. Ooh, we've got some. I feel like I'm wearing Coke bottle glasses. So I'm not actually seeing what is happening, really seeing what is happening. So a great example or something to do that I do often for myself, you can try this out for yourself. When I start to get into my mind or I start thinking that everything is so terrible, everything's falling apart, nothing will ever be good, whatever, I get into those habitual thoughts, let's say doomsday thinking. I go to my front window and I look at what's actually happening. What do I actually see? All right, take a deep breath. I see the trees changing color because I'm out in Canada and that's so beautiful. And then I notice how the sun comes in and it lights up my kitchen and my living room and it looks like gold. And so my room is now gold. And then I take a look at my pets and I look at the lushness of my plants and I look at the beauty that surrounds me. The beauty that surrounds me. I look at my neighborhood and I look at the houses and how beautiful they are. And I look at the lawn and the park and I hear the children playing. Well, we're doing sight. So I see the children playing. I see their happy faces. And that brings me back to what is actually happening. What is right now? Now, if you're going through a hard time now that I know over the world, there are some really terrible things happening, but that involvement with what is happening causes more harshness. So you can see for yourself what is the space that you're coming from? What are the filters that are projecting out to you? So your life is a mirror. So what you see out there is giving you a little bit of clues what needs to be worked with, right? So if you're only seeing all of the horrible things that are happening to you or to family, it's very different than seeing something terrible that's happening and having compassion. It's another thing to see something terrible and then getting sucked into talking about how terrible everything is. And then everything has that doomsday lens, right? And then on the other side, it's well, rose-colored glasses. Everything's fine. So you can be witnessing abuse and be like, oh no, that's okay. It's not as bad, right? So we want to take off any of those filters off of the eyes. Oh, so you can actually see what is. Okay, now I'm getting a funny taste in my mouth. So we'll just run a hydration. We're going to run a hydration to the sense of sight, both physical and subtle. We're going to anchor dump those filters. We're going to anchor it to the heart, growing up, individuating, moving out of this, your perception of things, right? Everyone has a point of view. Doesn't mean that your point of view is right. Doesn't mean that your point of view is wrong. It's simply a point of view. And once you perceive something differently, then your whole world shifts, your whole life shifts, right? Take a deep breath. It's like only seeing one side of the apple. And you say to someone says, describe the apple. And so you describe the portion that you see, but there's 3/4 of an apple still unseen. And you get another person's point of view and they're on the opposite side of the apple. And they describe that apple from their point of view. It doesn't mean they're looking at the same apple. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just that you have different points of view and you're describing the same thing differently. It's only when you get a rounded perspective where you take that actual apple and go, oh, I can see what you're talking about. Doesn't mean you need to accept it, but you can see different points of view, and that takes you out of cognitive dissonance. Take a nice deep breath. We're dumping this out of the eyes. We're dumping this out of the iris. Ooh. Ooh. The cornea. even down through the optic nerves bilaterally. And then there's this saying, seeing is believing. Well, I would say it's the other way around. Believing is seeing. Whatever you believe, you will see. Whatever you believe, you will see. I take a deep breath. I'm going to anchor this to the heart. I'm going to start to dump out whatever permutations, whatever resonates for you or your body mind needs to shift, it will shift. If this doesn't relate to you, just feel relaxed. You'll maybe feel relaxed. All right. Now I'm being brought into taste. That leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So mouth and gut, this is all a part of the digestive system. Ooh. And this is, what are you willing to digest? What are you digesting? What are you taking in? What kind of life experiences are you taking in? All right, you don't have to accept everything that comes your way. Whoa, whoa, that's new, right? Someone offers you a piece of fruit. Let if your intuition is guiding the way, your body mind will know that piece of fruit's not for me. You don't need to accept every single piece of fruit that's given to you, for example. And it doesn't mean that maybe the next day the person will still present you, hey, do you still want this apple? Or do you want this grape? And maybe in that moment it'll be fine. But you don't always need to say yes. And so what we're doing here is making your yeses and nos honest for you. And you can change your mind. But we're going to dump out that forcefulness that you must say yes to all things, that you must accept whatever this, what, I don't even know what acceptance means. When someone says to me, oh, I just want to accept. Well, what are you asking me to accept? What are you asking me to ingest? I don't know what you're asking me to say yes to. And that's, oh, I could feel it really strong on my heart. There's strong belief systems right there. So, whew, feeling really like, ooh. Ah, but I need to be nice, Monica. It's not nice when someone offers me something and I say no. It's not nice. And so there's this conflict between people pleasing and then what's doing right for you. So we need to do a differentiation there in the mouth. It's in the mouth, the taste. It's really in my taste buds. We got to dump niceness, hijacking. It's just like hijacked the mouth. So we're going to dump that consciousness of being nice. Ooh, a good girl, people pleasing, however you want to put it, out of the mouth. We're going to dump it out of the TMJ. It's in the masseters. I can feel it really strong along the jawline. It's almost like wearing armor over my mouth, through the teeth, the tongue, the gums, the saliva. We're going to do a circulation of lymph through here, and also hydration too from and within. I'm going to dump that dishonesty. So when your no's are on it, when you can say no, your yeses are honest, and vice versa. Oh, sometimes people say no when they want to say yes. So we're going to make those yes, shift that dishonesty out of yes and no, dumping being nice as the guiding force to your answers, and putting that focus back on what is best for me, right? You first, in a healthy way, not a narcissistic way, but listening to that gut. Right. I used to manipulate when I would say yes and no. I had so many thoughts about it. Now they just come out honestly. It just comes out. I don't even have, it just slips out of my mouth. It just whoop right out. And I'm saying no and yes. Honestly, most of the time. All right, take a deep breath. We're going to anchor this to the heart, dumping this out of the sense of taste out of the mouth. Now, I was going to go into the other senses, but it's saying that is enough for today. Let's see what shifts for you over the course of the week. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you for being a part of my community. Now, this is an energetic exchange. I do have a donation link on my YouTube channel. If you are finding this, please share this out with the world. You have no idea who this could benefit. And if you are called to, please go ahead and leave a donation. It supports me to continue to do this work and get out these free sessions to you every week. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see you all next time.